Captain's Log, Episode 53. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by the Beer and Cheese Collective, formerly known as Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Now featuring the full array of the 2021 Goose Island Bourbon County brand stouts. Get them while supplies last, because when they're gone, they're gone. Until the next batch. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at the Beer and Cheese Collective. New name, same great place. This week, Captain and the Beer Wonder welcome back Hazy Lady, aka Dunkle Dame, for some festive end-of-year pours and learn about her continuous and impressive evolution in the beer world. Looks like it's time for another advance huck-up. The beer in this installment from Hoof-Hearted, provided by the Beer and Cheese Collective, is an impressive 14% Imperial Stout called Fitness Freak. It is not called, as I refer to it in a few minutes from now, Fitness Break. We regret the error and hope in giving Fitness Freak, currently available at the Beer and Cheese Collective, prominent mention here at the top of the show fully makes up for it. It seemed like the only solution because, as we all know, overdubbing is the coward's way out. Remember to like, star, and subscribe whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 53, talking about a Beervolution.
Well, we're the Beervengers, Beervengers, Beervengers.
We're the Beervengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens, I am Captain Porter Brownstout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And I am the Dunkle Dame, and I am coming to you from Choo Choo, Tennessee.
And we are the Beer
Like
there
pizza.
We go. That's right, we are the Beer Vengers. You're the Beer Vengers. Welcome to the Beercast, everyone in here, out there, all around the world, and in parts unknown. Those ETs that the Beer Wonder is always shouting out to. But we've also had some people recently from Ireland and I think somewhere in South America. I don't remember exactly which country, but we will give you your proper recognition as soon as possible. As you may have noticed, we've had.
Are you sure that they're not aliens? They could just be impersonating people from those areas.
I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, sure, their technology is it's probably, we're very primitive compared to whatever they have. So there's no way of knowing at all.
Okay.
Yeah, their networks are powerful. They can get anywhere. So it probably is. It probably is aliens.
Thank you, Dunkle Dame.
They could even be cloning all of our like people we have from New York and California. They could be trying to stroke our egos because
this is not the Beer Wonder next to me. I don't even think it's him. I think it's an alien. So
probably true.
That's true. All right. So welcome, everyone. As you notice, we have another wonderful special guest, a return special guest.
Yes.
Whose name you may not recognize even if you listen to that episode, because as some of our guests do, or some of our Beer Avengers do, we are, I guess you would say, are fluid in our hopality or beerality. I'm trying to make some sort of comment, you know how with gender fluid, there's some sort of thing with Beer Avenger name as well.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying there?
Sometimes you evolve. It's like a Pokemon, right? You go through different stations of evolution. Yeah.
I mean, we generally speaking, I don't think calling her Hazy Lady would be dead naming her in that bit of, but because you still like Hazy's, don't you, Uncle Dame?
I do. I always love hazies. I just kind of got a little burnt out on them. I think I had a little too many. Everyone started doing it. Everyone started jumping on the cool kid bandwagon, and there was some bad ones. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got a little burnt out, and I've always loved dark beers. So I kind of went back to the dark side, but it's the dark lager side, the Dunkel. So, yeah.
In any case, we're very glad to have you back on the show again. I know you've been, there's a lot that has gone on in your life since the last time you were on here in your beer world. We're very excited to talk about that, talk about our various holiday seasons, our weekend beer. But I can't really concentrate on any of that until we get to the pours, right?
I know. I'm very, very, very thirsty.
All right. Well, then, why don't you pour your? Oh, wait a minute. Am I being impolite there? I was going to offer you to.
Captain.
Yeah.
Captain, come on. Come on.
I thought I was being polite by. Yes, we have a guest, don't we?
I thought you were too. I thought we'd learned something in this over a year.
I thought if I defer to anyone, that's polite, but no, it's not the guest. I might as well be shitting on the rug. Yeah.
Exact. Well, don't do that either, because then we have to clean that up. But Dunkle Dame, would you honor us with the first pour?
I would love to. So I am going to be drinking a moon pie stout from a local Chattanooga brewery called Naked River. Yeah. So I am so excited to open up this bad boy.
Ooh, now moon pie, I think of that as like a dessert. So we'll have to find out more about that.
Oh yeah, I will tell you.
So this would be in the pastry stout category.
Yes. Oh, and you're drinking it out of a lovely glass. It's a really good dark color, very slight head formation, but of course the Dunkle Dame does an A+ pour, so it's beautiful no matter what. Can you hold up the can and the glass next to each other just so we can get a good look at those together? Oh, look at that. So beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is a beautiful beer, and it's so great and kind of light for a pastry stout. I can't wait to talk
What's
a little bit more
on that?
The ABV on this, good question. I think it's an 8%er. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
So high for a stout, low for an imperial.
Yeah, absolutely.
More in that foreign export category.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Beer Wonder, I'm dying to see what you have.
I know. Well, today I actually have a
sponsored pour.
A sponsored pour from the Beer and Cheese Collective at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens.
Yes, those fine folks. And I do feel like I do need to clarify that last week's was not actually a sponsored pour from our friends at the Beer and Cheese Collective. It was actually a repeat beer coming to us from our friends over at the Pony Bar. So although my apologies.
It's entirely possible you can find that one at the Beer and Cheese Collective.
But, it is. Right. They have so many options, but I did want to clarify that. It's always good to acknowledge your hookups on the beer cast. But today, our beer is from Area 2, which is the experimental brewing wing of our buddies over at Two Roads.
Oh, excellent.
In Connecticut. Yep. Lovely Connecticut beer. This one is definitely an experiment. I'm excited about it. It is their Pineapple Sour D, which is a hazy hemp IPA with pineapple.
Yum.
Very tropical. Coming in at just a casual 7%. So let's see how this thing pours.
Beautiful crack there.
I know.
I love pineapple because you get that kind of tartness, so I'm curious to see how it tastes.
Yep.
So you pour it there to that Beer and Cheese Collective glass.
Exactly. And I'm getting it's got a very intense nose. I'm excited about this one. It should be very delicious.
Nice pillowy head on there. I love that from a hazy.
Mm-hmm. All right, Captain, you've been so patient.
Well, I also have a
sponsored pour.
What?
Yes, a sponsored pour. Our same sponsor that we were just talking about, the Beer and Cheese Collective, formerly Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars. Mm-hmm. I have to tell you, we get so many great beers from them. We can't feature all of them on the show. Yep. So I want to mention a few that I was up for consideration for tonight, some which will be finding themselves to you very soon.
Thank you.
Beer Wonder. Okay, so first we have this one from Marlowe Artisan Ales. It is an ESB. It's called Ploosh.
Ploosh.
And you can't quite see it when my lighting is weird, but it's got dice on the can there.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but there is. Then another one I was really seriously considering. This is from. I think it might be. Oh, of course it is. It's Tripping Animals, and it's called The Return of the Tripping Dead.
Ooh.
And that is a sour ale with cherry, coconut, almonds, and vanilla. Currently available.
Ooh. Coconut. Nice.
This one. Okay, this is from Hudson Valley. It is called Holocene. It's a sour IPA with mango and vanilla.
Oh, that's mango and vanilla. Very exciting.
I know these are interesting combos that you're
I
throwing out.
know. I'm digging it.
I know. Well, you think those are strange combos. This one is based on what some people like to think is the worst kind of pizza, but I think it might be a wonderful kind of beer.
Pineapple and ham?
It is the Hawaiian Pizza IPA
Okay.
from Rockaway.
Okay.
I mean,
Speaking
pineapple
of
and ham and an IPA, I think that could work. And this one I
know.
almost went with, and I'm going to explain to you why in a second. This is a Dunkelweiss from Grimm. You know why I thought about having this one on tonight?
In honor of our guest, perhaps?
Well, not only is she the Dunkel Dame, but Grimm is where all of us first met in
That's
person for
true.
the first
That
time.
is true.
That's so true. I know.
And I really, I considered doing that one, but this one is just so much in my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
It is an imperial stout with coffee, vanilla, and maple syrup.
That
it is the
fitness
break from Hoofhearted.
Hoofhearted.
I was wondering who farted.
Pronounce that. It's in Ohio, actually.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, it's at 14%, I should say here.
Of course
it
is. Excellent can art.
It is. And here we go.
Love an imperial stout.
Oh, there you go.
That looks like oil.
It really does.
It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
There we
Beautiful head production there. Really nice. Oh.
All right, let's just.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Looking good. Already.
Excellent. Let's raise a glass, everyone.
Cheers.
To my dear beer Avengers and everyone listening. Cheers.
What a great way to wrap up the year, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, or start the year, as I think people who might be listening are having.
Yeah,
it's depending on what time zone you're in, it could be whatever. Sure, yes, this will be released on the earliest you'll be listening to this is on January 3rd, as long as I have my act together this weekend.
Yeah, so it will be the new year, and really, Captain, I think you could start a boat with that. It looks like diesel oil. Your beautiful imperial stout. That's gorgeous. That is this moon pie stout is so nice. It's a pastry stout, but it's got a surprisingly light body. So it's super drinkable. Yeah, it's unexpectedly light for a pastry stout.
Now,
it reminds me of a beer you and I were drinking together last night from Houston, that cookies and cream one, that 8%. Which is funny.
That was so us. That was such a me and you beer. Like that was, I was happy to close out my podcast with you with that beer. I just felt everything felt right.
I still haven't been able to properly clean that glass. I had to soak it because there's still little bits of cookie on the edges of it.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was heavy. Yeah, we had a nice Kolsch too.
That's a big swing there. That's a large swing to go from a Kolsch to a cookie stout, or a cookie imperial stout.
It was intense. It was definitely, but it was fun. You know what I mean? Ethan, you co-hosted with me too on Brews Less Traveled, and it's nice when you kind of get those beers that are a little polar opposite. You just give your taste buds sort of everything that they desire.
Yes. Well, I gotta say, since I know you're a fan of pie, well, actually, I did want to ask though. So, moon pies. So that is some sort of pastry situation, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So a moon pie, it's kind of like a whoopie pie that's not that good. Basically, I don't really. I think moon pies. They've been around since 1917, and they were invented here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I am.
Oh, interesting! I knew there was a southern thing. I didn't know there was specifically Chattanooga.
Yeah, Chattanooga. So yeah, it's a big thing here. They make different flavors too. Like I saw a pumpkin pie one. To me, this beer is what you want a moon pie to actually taste like. This beer is delicious. A moon pie, they're okay. They're kind of it's sort of like not a wafer. It's like almost like a spongy thing, but they're always like a little dry. They're not really that great. No offense to the Moon Pie Company.
No, I mean it's a pretty much of a low rent kind of a thing. I mean, there are people who I'm sure have made more elegant gourmet pastry versions of it, but it's basically one of those things you get in the checkout at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
it's one of those things you're like, oh yeah, I guess I'll get a moon pie too.
And they're like pretty good, but yeah, like you always kind of want it to be better than it is.
Yeah, I think it's probably a very popular drunk people food.
It is, or stoned people, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I'll always, I won't turn down a moon pie. I won't. Yeah. Like I will always eat it, but I'm always kind of like, oh, I sort of wish it was better. But this beer, they really did the best job with it at Naked River Brewing here in Chattanooga. when they originally started brewing this beer, I interviewed with them, by the way, for a job like in production and behind the bar. The job didn't work out, but they're such great people there. I stay in touch with them. And they originally used moon pies in the production of this beer, but they're so sort of absorbent. It was absorbing a lot of the beer. They were wasting product with it. So then
Oh.
they still use some moon pies in there, but from what I've been told, and I could be wrong on this, but I remember them saying they're using just some really delicious natural flavoring in this beer, and they really perfect it. It's a great beer. It's not very carbonated, so if you're someone who likes a really zippy, zingy, effervescent beer, it might not be for you. But if you like something that's really full of flavor but not too heavy, and you like dark beer, it's a great one to try. I recommend it.
Yeah, I feel like the basic elements of a moon pie are very similar to that of a s'more, except whatever passes for a cookie in it isn't as good as a graham cracker.
Yeah, a s'more's delicious. Like, a s'more's the best thing
But they
ever.
have the same basic things, right? They're chocolate, marshmallow, and cookie. That's
Yeah,
essentially what they're
Yeah,
both made up of.
that's what they're doing. Yeah.
But
it is the
the cookie in
same.
a moon pie is the least good part of the whole thing.
Yeah, they're just always, like, a little more dry than you want it to be. Like, they're not terrible, but like I said, it's like you always just kinda want it to be better. I'm
I
gonna
mean, but the great thing about when you make a beer or you make a more gourmet version of something is you take the most positive element of it and you just sort of put it all together and make it like the most idealized version of the moon pie you would have.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
I
yeah,
like where
yeah.
this is going. The perfected moon pie in a beer. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Captain, I know that you're not planning to power a boat with that thing, but how is your
Uh,
delicious beer?
I'm really enjoying it. Speaking about various things that sometimes, I mean, it tastes like a 14 percenter, which every once
Okay.
in a while you can enjoy this nice sipping, thick, viscous imperial stout, high up on that SRM
Oh
level
yeah.
there. I think we were talking once about how that pretty much visually you can't really tell a 40 from an 80 on
Yeah.
the SRM chart. If it's over 40, it's all looking the same,
Yeah,
but so SRM you can almost taste that, like, okay, this is high on the list.
yeah, your
Um,
eye won't pick it up past a certain point.
Yeah.
right, but it's interesting. It's maybe a little sweeter than I would generally go for, but not overly sweet. It's like I'm very satisfied with it, and that coffee flavor and the vanilla is definitely in there. And a really really nice one. They do some great work at Hoof Hearted. Um,
Because I'm tight.
it it's funny because you so often you double D here. Was
Yes.
that can I call you that? I was
Yeah,
trying to abbreviate Dunkle Dame in some way. Uh, just a
call
DD.
me whatever.
Uh,
I love Didi.
uh, is it's funny that you didn't even need a prompting from Beer Wonder to refer to it as oil, because that's what he always calls my imperial stouts.
I love
And
so much that you stick to that you are just truly, because I mean, I'm kind of all over the place with the beers I'll drink typically, but I love that you, Captain, are just like, I drink really dark black beers all the time. I think
well,
it's great.
if Ryan hadn't given me this one, I very likely would have gone with the Dunkel in tribute to you.
Yeah,
Uh,
which is still
but
a dark beer.
But since this was on the list of ones he gave me, like, well, this is the one I have to have on the show.
Oh
And
yeah,
I should say that all of those beers I mentioned. So if you're listening to this on Monday, January 3rd, or very shortly thereafter, all of these beers were in the store on the previous Wednesday, so they should still be there now. But it's funny because the job that we've talked about before, that all three of us have been doing, this beer and cheese tasting thing, our company, when I talk to people about the various about mouthfeel, and we talk about viscosity and all of that.
Hmm.
And I was sort of inspired by you, and I've often described, because how we tell people about how beers are watery, but that doesn't mean water, like taste not watered down. It's just the body of water, the viscosity. And I've taken to always mentioning your motor oil comparison, and then I tell people that it doesn't actually taste like motor oil,
It
as far as I
shouldn't.
know.
I
As
sure
far as I
hope not.
know. Well, I've never actually tasted motor oil, so I can't say that for sure,
Well, please
but I
don't.
can be pretty sure, yeah.
Well,
that's
the complete opposite of motor oil. This my pineapple sour D here is a tropical punch. I'll say that much. The pineapple is wildly present. The hemp is very dank and herbaceous, and it's got that like classic haze to it, but a nice bitterness at the very end. So again, it is a tropical journey. I'm ready for it. It's a little too cold for I mean, here's the thing. I would say like this is an excellent like let's go on the beach and have a beer kind of beer, but given that it is now getting to be wintertime here in Gotham, I'm happy to have this to remind me of the tropical times that I am currently not going to be enjoying. That said, someone here might be enjoying some tropical times very soon.
That would be me. Yes,
Yeah.
I am getting ready to temporarily relocate from Chattanooga, Choo Choo, Tennessee, to the Virgin Islands, the US Virgin Islands. I'm going to be working at Leatherback Brewing on St. Thomas Island. So if anyone is planning a winter escape to go there, please come see me at Leatherback. I'm going to be doing a lot of cool things. Mainly, I will be behind the bar because what is more fun than serving beer to people and watching their faces light up? I cannot wait for that. I'm also going to be working a little bit in production. I'm
Mhm.
also going to be helping with their accounts and kind of servicing some of the draft systems too and organizing schedules for them. I cannot wait to learn more about draft systems because it's so complicated. So
Mhm.
I'll kind of be going with the head brewer. His name's Jose, and it's basically kind of just him, really. I think that does most of the brewing, and then he helps service the accounts. That's from what I understand. I'm sure there's some other parts I will gather when I get there, but I'm going to be helping him a little bit. I'm also going to be helping them do some fun events like beer tastings and things like that for people. So a lot of fun things. I cannot wait. I'm going to really test my stout love and see if I still drink stouts in 85-degree and pretty humid weather. So I will keep you guys posted on that. But I think that what you're drinking, Beer Wonder, would totally fly and vibe with me down on St. Thomas Island because I love a hazy and that one sounds delicious.
Yes.
Well, now, Dunkle Dame, I know a lot of stories. I feel like your story is sometimes like an epic poem, and epic poems are often started in medias res, where we'll start at somewhere and then we'll flash back because I feel like we're skipping over a lot of the story since the last you were been to. So I
Yeah.
want to explore a little how we got here because you're. I don't want to deal with amateur psychology here, but you have kind of a story that I find kind of inspiring. The idea that you had this business for so long and you used the pandemic and that business going away to sort of reassert something that you were kind of tired of that, and you were rather than just sort of wait for something else to come to you, you just really grabbed like, okay, life is short. I'm gonna do something I like, and while we were all in lockdown, you decided I'm gonna take a beer course and I'm gonna fly to Colorado and was it Colorado, right?
Yes, yeah.
And take that course there and then move on to the job that we were all doing together. Was that, do you think that was at all inspired by the situation we were all living in? Is that what, like, you're like, okay, like I've got to, I'm not, there's no waiting around.
Yeah, yeah. So, just for people who do not know, I was running a business, a skincare business in Brooklyn. I was a skincare esthetician. So, I owned a facial studio, I had 2 locations, and was doing that for about 10 years, 8 years running my business, 10 years as a skincare esthetician. And then, yeah, the pandemic hit. I was out of work for 6 months, and I kind of realized I was a little over it. I was sort of like, you know what? I'm ready to move on. I'm okay with that. It was sad. It was sad to leave my employees and my locations and everything. But I felt very at peace with that decision. And then I just got deeper into my love of craft beer. I always loved beer. And then I said, let's study it. Let's learn to brew. I tried to home brew, not a great home brewer, but it was really fun to try and dabble in. Went out to Colorado Springs, worked at Rocky Mountain Brewery with the head brewer, assisted him brewing, which was, again, super complicated. Not something that came natural to me, but I really loved learning. What I
Mm.
learned was completely invaluable. And then, yeah, just took some craft beer courses online. The ones I took were at Cornell and San Diego State, and just started studying it. And then got the job with Bruvana, hosting their Brews Less Traveled podcast, where I met you guys, and you guys were my co-host, and we all knew each other in Brooklyn as well. So it's been a very cool journey with my relationship with you guys as well. But
I
so
feel
much.
very honored to have been your final co-host on your final show.
Oh yeah, that was so fun. That was, yeah,
Yeah.
you were the best. But yeah, I mean, my gratitude cup is so full with
Beer
everything.
Wonder, she's also often referred to you as the best, just to make sure this
Oh,
isn't
no,
a
I'm not
competition.
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about
No,
that.
I feel like Sue hosts and she calls me. It's like because I brought you up last week and she said, "Oh, Ethan's the best."
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you're
sweet.
just like the best person, just a sweet. You guys are both just
Well,
delightful energy to be
we were
around.
happy to have you kind of come into the crew. In fact, I would say this whole pandemic, in terms of the expansion of the Beer Avengers to a certain degree, has done wonders for all of us, because we got you, we kind of got in our Globe Hopper as well. Other people have sort of pieced their way together into the family. And what's nice is that as you know, things have shifted and changed, we've had Beer Avengers really kind of take over the world a little bit, you
Yeah,
know, in a really direct way. So,
Yeah, well, and also, like, I mean, really, this was also this is something we've been talking about for years, but this whole podcast was born out of the pandemic
mhm.
as well. Um, but so I am curious though. So that's that part of the story. What led you to go to Chattanooga, and tell us a little bit more about what
Yeah.
that experience has been like for you since you've been there?
absolutely. So yeah, after 12 years of New York, I kind of knew I wanted to move. Again, the pandemic was so eye-opening.
Mhm.
And not to take a pandemic and view it as some like privileged thing, but there was some
This
silver
is
lining.
this is people are dying. It's not an artist retreat. I heard
Exactly.
that on some yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And just amongst all of the sadness and darkness that was going on throughout the world, there was some silver linings to say, you know what, I have time to actually think, do I like where I'm at? Do I like what I'm
Mhm.
doing? And
Yeah.
I was just at a point where I felt so ready to move on. And I didn't really have the energy to kind of go back and keep doing it. There's a certain amount of energy you have to to kind of pick it up from the bottom and
Yep.
give it life again. And I
Mhm.
said, you know what? I'm going to have to use a lot of energy no matter what. I'd rather direct it towards something new and watch that grow than try to keep this alive over here. So that felt like it made more sense to me on an emotional level. And I knew I wanted to move back to the South. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia originally. So Chattanooga's 2 hours north of Atlanta for anyone curious about the geography of that. And, I have some family in Birmingham, Alabama, which is also about 2 hours away. And I knew I wanted to move back. And I just started messaging breweries on Instagram and was like, hey, are you hiring? Hey. And then Naked River, who I'm sipping on this evening with their Moon Pie Stout, they got back to me. I said, I'm going to fly down. They said, we'd love to interview you. I just checked out the city, and Chattanooga is so, so cute. It's close enough to Nashville that you get this kind of funky, cool vibe, but it's
Mhm.
a really small city. And I just felt it. I just said, that's where I need to be. I get strong instincts about things sometimes. And I just thought, that's where I'm going to go. So I picked up and I moved down south and have not regretted it. And it was because I got a remote position though with Bruvana and
Right.
just
Sure.
felt so lucky to, represent that brand and host their podcast. I did it for 9 months and so grateful for the opportunities they gave me to have a platform in this industry, which is just amazing as a woman and just as any individual. It's just a very cool job. But then I stumbled upon this job in the Virgin Islands and it's more hands-on. And that's kind of what I'm craving now after sort of sitting, kind of behind a desk a little bit. I mean, I did get to travel to all the beer cities
Mhm.
on Brewfest
Sure.
Traveled, but there was a lot of desk work with the job, and that kind of wasn't so much for me. So this hands-on stuff at Leatherback on St. Thomas Island just
How did you come
felt like
across that?
so my boyfriend, Phil, he's a dive master and boat captain, and he lived down on St. Thomas for 2 years.
Mm.
He just moved back to Chattanooga. That's how we met. And I knew he kind of wanted to move back. I could tell. He was like, Chattanooga's great, but I miss the islands. And I was like, well, that sounds like a really fun place. I mean, I'm not opposed to an island. Let me see if I can get a job at a brewery. Found a job, found an apartment that's walking distance.
What?
I always say if you don't have to force it, it's probably the right thing to do. And I just didn't
So
have
you're
to
Yeah.
totally
force
giving up your apartment in Chattanooga?
it. Well, I have it on Airbnb right now if anyone
Oh,
needs
okay.
a place in
So
Chattanooga.
sublet kind of deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm just going down to St. Thomas for 3 months. So
Mm.
there will be another story of what happens when I come back to Chattanooga and have to figure things out again. So I have a couple breweries here. One's called Heaven and Ale that I'm
Mm.
communicating with about doing kind of the same thing. I like the idea of beer tending and then also helping with events, helping brew a little bit, kind of having a little bit of like an all hands on deck vibe. Because my
Yeah.
goal eventually is to open a tap room, a honky tonkin'
All
tap
right.
room. So getting this hands on experience and kind of doing a lot of different things it's invaluable. It's incredible.
And this is why we have you on so much, because there's always another layer to your story. We don't have to like wait 5 minutes. And what's going on with the Dunkle Dame now? Oh, first of all, she's calling herself a Dunkle Dame because last time we saw her, she was the Hazy Lady. In fact, you changed your name so much that Beer Wonder and I both got your name wrong on the last episode. I don't know if you listened to that. There was a point where he had your name wrong, and then I corrected him with the wrong name.
Wait, not my real name, right? My
No.
beer vendor name.
No.
We
Oh,
haven't-
yeah, exactly. Because I can't remember what you called her, the something lady, and I said no. Do you remember what it was? Beer Wonder?
I don't remember. I was trying to get towards Dunkle Dame, but I had put it. I was like the Lager Lass or something along those lines.
Yes, you said
But,
well,
yes.
yeah. Well, Lager Lass is someone else entirely. I think you were calling her the Lager Lady. I
Lager
said
Lady,
no,
that
it's
was
not
it.
Lager Lady. It's the Shady Lady. But no, it's the Hazy Lady. So
Exactly.
in fact, it was so. We usually wait for hookups for all of that, but last week I just opened the whole cold open with like
Yes.
we got this wrong, and
Yeah.
and we'll have her on very soon to make up. And here you are now.
I
That's
mean,
not the only reason you're on, but
yeah, next thing you know, I'll be like the ES biatch or something. Like
I mean, I'm here for that. Bring that
Yeah.
kind of energy, Dunkle Dame. I'm ready for it. That's
yeah,
it. I mean, doesn't Huck have like 3 names at this point?
he does.
at least.
Yeah.
He's
Exactly.
a diva. Yeah, he's a diva with names. Yeah.
Yes, you heard that, Huck, right? See, the Dunkle the Shady Lady / Dunkle Dame / Hazy Lady is
Yeah.
calling you the diva. I dig it.
That's Lager Lady, I guess.
Yes.
Lager Lady's good too. Yeah, I just feel like life is fun, life is short. Just do whatever feels right in that moment. I don't know. I'm a Gemini. We're very like adaptable and we like change a
Yeah.
lot.
But do
Been
you
through a
think
lot lately?
But do you think the world situation really sort of kicked an aspect of that into high gear for you?
I do. Yeah.
Because you said you were doing the esthetician thing for, you said 8 years?
10 years as an
10 years,
esthetician.
yeah.
Yeah, 8 years running my business. Yeah, and I think now, we sort of realize we can change, we can move. It almost feels more accessible and more allowed.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
sometimes people, they might kind of judge you and be like, oh gosh, you're changing your career. That's so crazy. Pick what you want. Are you lost or what? And you're like, no, I just kind of want to do something different. But I've always liked evolution and change and,
Yeah.
just getting different interests and things. I've had a lot of different, careers and stuff. So yeah, I just think it's fun. I just think, why not?
Well, Beer Wonder and I both met together acting, and that's sort of baked into that as well.
Yes.
It's because it's always just like there's just even. I mean, I had a job that I may eventually go back to that I'd had for 15 years, which is very unusual in that profession because it's always baked into that. It's always like, okay, this show is going to close.
Yeah, what's
this
next?
shoot is going to be over, and I have to move on to what's next. And yeah, but I think you're absolutely right. It's why. We're calling it the gig economy now. Are we still calling it that? Are we still using that term?
I feel like feel like the gig economy is now just the economy, but maybe that's just the world that I live in now.
Yeah.
Because like I'm Gen X, and I feel like that my generation wasn't necessarily. I mean, like I said, because I'm an artist,
Right.
that it's part of it. But I feel like either my generation, or near the end of my generation, or the beginning of the next one, were the first ones to really move beyond the whole work at one place for 50 years, get a gold watch, and retire.
Mhm.
Right.
We're well beyond it, and I'm not sure where the separation from that really started.
And I think now there's so many more jobs out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's just so many different, podcast host. I mean, that didn't exist, 15 years ago. So
I'd like to say this is a job, but for when you were doing it, it was a job.
It was a job.
This could eventually be a job. Currently, it's an inexpensive hobby, but who knows where we could go.
absolutely. No, you definitely
We do
can.
have sponsorship, lest we forget. It is
Yes,
sponsorship in beer, but
I'm very grateful to that. Yeah, they certainly defray our costs by having our wonderful sponsored pours here.
Absolutely.
Put in
Well,
that sound again.
very cool that you guys have sponsors. Yeah, I mean, I loved hosting the podcast Brews Less Traveled. I want to continue in the podcast world, perhaps. It's very fun to just gather around people, on Zoom, whatever, and share a beer. So I'm happy to venge with you gentlemen anytime.
Well, yeah, we're definitely
I
looking
mean,
forward to. Who knows? We
well,
might actually do a whole thing from the Virgin Islands, so you can
yeah,
That
cue
would
us in
be
on that whole
super
scene.
fun. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
can talk about the beers at Leatherback. That would actually
yep.
be great. I'd love to do that.
We should actually have the Globe Hopper on because early on in my friendship with Globe Hopper, he did bring me a beer from Leatherback that I remember being very delicious. It was a saison, which I understand Dunkel Dame is one of their finer beers, one of their best beers.
Yes, I heard that from, I believe, this individual you are referring. And
Yes.
yeah, we cannot reveal his real name. Yeah, and he did tell me their saison was really delicious. And I do love a nice Belgian style farmhouse ale, love a saison, so I can't wait to try that.
Yeah, it was pretty excellent. So we'll have to hear the full report of how brewing is going in the Virgin
Yeah.
Islands. So when if people are planning a retreat from the colds of Gotham to the warms of the Virgin Islands, when can they find you there? When
So
should they
I
look for
will
you?
be there January, February, and March
Okay.
next year,
Mm,
2022. Yeah, and
Well, if we're not
possibly
all in
longer.
lockdown by then,
mm,
I know. We're right where the cruise ships dock, which I just heard
yes.
cruise ships are, done for now. So that's not very
I
fun.
was amazed they came back as soon as they did. To be honest, because that
Yeah,
just seems like the perfect place if you want to get COVID.
totally. I mean, yeah, I got COVID just from, doing God knows what, just walking outside. So, I mean,
Well,
I'm
there's
luckily,
there's a lot of you. I don't have to go many places. I choose to occasionally, but yeah, I was surprised today. Who knows what it's going to be like when this episode is released? But
Mhm.
I keep seeing the numbers go up every day, and I saw
yeah.
today that it was up over 300,000, which I thought was high. And then I found out that that's just the 7-day average.
Oh my
The
gosh.
actual
Yeah.
amount for the day was like 500,000.
That's
Yeah.
There were
insane.
500,000 cases across this country yesterday.
Yeah, this new variant, the Omicron, just seems like the most contagious. But luckily, everyone I've known, including myself who've had it, have had mild symptoms and recovered quickly.
All right.
So fingers crossed that will
So
be most people's story.
yeah. Well, the real question here is because were you still able to smell and taste your beers?
I was.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's an actually very interesting point that you mentioned that, because I don't know if you knew for sure if you had Omicron or not, because I have heard that Omicron does not have that. That is a unique thing to that particular grade of the virus, is that it doesn't take away your sense of taste and smell.
Yeah. My boyfriend, he lost his taste and smell, but just for like 2 days.
Okay.
And then that was like his only symptom. And then he was kind of tired. I had a fever for about a day and a half, and then that was kind of it. And still a little shortness of breath every once in a
Mm.
while. But yeah, overall, very fortunate and very lucky that I recovered very quickly.
It's funny. It's because of our job at Unboxed Experience that I've started to come to learn at how taste and smell are, how intertwined they are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do they say? Your taste is about 80% smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. I keep some every once in a while I'll say it backwards. Smell is 80% taste. No, it's taste is 80% smell. But
Yeah,
I've caught myself saying the opposite, knowing that it's not
Yes.
necessarily.
whatever it
If
is,
we've
they're very linked.
They're
yes,
very linked. Yes.
one of the things that we've learned from our COVID experience as well is taste
Mm,
and smell.
true.
So
True. In fact, someone is. Where are you two on the whole idea of what is spice? Is spice a taste? Is spice a mouthfeel?
Oh, I think
oh
taste.
I
It
think it's
depends what kind of
both.
spice, because I mean, like
yeah.
cinnamon is technically a spice, but yeah, if something's really hot, like a jalapeno
That's
or
how it feels
that's
from
how
the
it
heat, from
The
the
tingle,
tingling.
yeah. I don't know if you've ever had any of those Sichuan peppers, the like mouth numbing spice that comes from China,
Yeah.
where that is absolutely a feel because your
Mhm.
lips start to buzz, your tongue
Yeah,
starts to buzz. It is, but it's an acid reaction. It's actually messing with your taste buds. So I guess it's both.
I think it straddles the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it is both. That's interesting, and I wonder if that's why it's kind of so intense because it's taking
Yes.
over two of the
if
categories.
tastes or spices, uh, or I'm sorry, if tastes are vowels, spice is the sometimes why.
Love
There
it.
you go. Love it. Well, Dunkle Dame, since you were in Chattanooga, and it sounds, I've actually done some reading about it, about how it is like a spot that people are relocating to because it does have a lot of kind of great stuff. Are there any specific establishments that you have in your travels there, in your time in there, have really sort of fallen in love with that you might want to give a shout out to for anyone who might be, oh, I don't know, planning a trip there?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I've been here since August, so like 6 months, something like that. 5 months. I can't do math right now, clearly, but just a few months. So I haven't been here too long. There's a place called Clyde's. That's
Okay.
really fun. They have a good draft list, and they have shuffleboard, and they have live music.
Ooh.
There is, as far as breweries, of course, Naked River that I'm tasting
Mm-hmm.
this evening.
Mm-hmm.
And they have really yummy food there, by the way. And they're also right next to the farmers market. So that's a fun day. You can go to,
Ah.
it's this big, gorgeous farmers market, really impressive. And Naked River's right next to that, as well as the stadium where you can see it's baseball. I forget their name, but yeah, so they have a really great location. And there's Chattanooga Brewing,
Okay.
which is good as well. There is Heaven and Ale. There's Wander Linger. There's a lot of really charming breweries. There's
Hmm.
like about 5 or 6, so not a
Oh, wow.
ton, but like a good amount for such a small city. There's only 185,000 people in Chattanooga.
Oh, wow.
So, that's like a decent amount of breweries. Um, I live in a great area. It's called the South Side. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
downtown. And there's so many great restaurants right kind of outside my door. I still do not have a driver's license or a car. I'm a New Yorker at heart. I've not driven. Well, I drove my boyfriend's truck in the mountains illegally the other day. But
We
I
won't
Good
tell
boy.
anyone.
haven't. What'd you say?
I said we won't tell anyone at this point. I mean, we have we're aspiring to be a cult hit at this point. So,
The
Yeah.
aliens will know,
well,
though.
this
The
is part of why
aliens
we
will
use
know.
fake names. Who's gonna go after the Dunkle Dame?
Exactly. No one
They
knows
don't
who
know
you
it
are.
yet at all.
Susan, if that is your real name.
Yeah, don't tell Tammy's name. Oh, what? Ah.
Oh my god. But yeah, Chattanooga's super fun. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in like the South Side area. Great beers here. Yeah, very cool spot. Worth a visit.
I'm a little curious. Is there a story behind the name of Naked River?
Oh, that's a great question.
Apparently, the owner loved to kayak naked. Like
Ah,
that's
Okay.
what I heard. Or like
good
canoe
job.
naked. Yeah, that is what I've heard. So pretty
All
funny.
right. So he's just sort of basically turned that river into his own nude beach, or in Chattanooga, as they call it, the
Uh-huh.
Naked River.
The Naked River. Yeah, and kayaking, it's a very outdoorsy city. I kayak a lot.
Mm.
So yeah, I always get a kayak beer, and Hutton and Smith, they make a really good blonde ale. I usually take that one when I go yakking. But yeah,
Ooh.
very outdoorsy city because the Tennessee River runs right through it and then feeds into Lake Chickamauga, which is where I am right now. I'm on my
Ah.
boyfriend's houseboat on Lake Chickamauga.
I think stories
Ooh.
like this will really reform the ideas of kayaking in the South. Because when I think about kayaking in the South, I just think about deliverance.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
There you go.
but as far as you know, since you've been there, Ned Beatty has not been raped.
Nope, has
Excellent,
not happened.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah. I
Thank
have a
goodness.
funny story about Deliverance. I was watching that with a friend of mine years ago.
Yeah,
And, Burt Reynolds. This is not a spoiler alert, but he gets like shot in the leg or something.
yeah.
Mhm.
And my friend's so into the movie, she was like,
Honestly,
she
with
was,
what I just said about Ned Beatty, I don't think we have to worry about spoilers.
yeah, that's like very famous. And my
Very true.
friend goes, they should just shoot him. And I was like, good God, he only has a leg injury. That's like very survivable. Like, don't go hiking with her. You stub your toe. She's like, sorry, you're holding us back. I'm like, kills you.
Yeah, that's so.
Yes.
That's how
He's
you know not to
okay.
go hiking with that friend.
It's
Yeah,
true.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we just got through a nice holiday season
We certainly
here.
did.
And I know I was back in Minnesota enjoying some beers with my father, who's working through his 75 for his 75th birthday.
Ooh.
But, Captain, I know you were in town. And I'm curious.
No, don't yada yada that whole thing. I want to hear more about the 75 beers. How
Oh, we
because
didn't make it
I
through
totally
anywhere.
forgot that
We
we
didn't
didn't
make it
talk
through
about that
anywhere
at all.
near the 75 beers. He just showed me
Okay,
the full table of them. In
but
fact,
what
I
were some
was.
highlights of the ones you had?
Well, there's the thing. I was not taking good notes because we were getting progressively more inebriated on the beers. There was a
You did
delicious.
try to make a dent, it sounds like.
We did. We got through about 3 or 4. I had some delightful ones from Indiana. Most of these were Midwestern beers because that's what we were. My dad was able to get. To be fair though, I was continuing to do our job from the faraway lands of Minnesota, and as I think Dunkel Dame and the captain are both on board with, oftentimes it is a non-alcoholic beer that makes an appearance, especially if you've got multiple in a
Sure.
day.
Mhm.
Well, unfortunately, I did not
Not on
plan.
Brews Less Traveled. Let's just make it clear by
No,
that we
yes.
are always drinking the beers on Brews Less Traveled. That's why I look, even though it's whatever you want to say about it. That's why I look forward to those more than any of the other jobs I do for the company. Is because we really get to have those great beers, and I
Oh,
never
yeah.
know what they're going to be before I get them. So it's wonderful.
So fun.
Sorry. Go,
Yes.
the end of commercial. All right, go ahead.
Yes, but I showed up back in Minnesota, and I said, "Oh, I've got a couple of tastings to do today, and I've got 3." And I turned to my dad and I said, "Okay, well, I don't have my non-alcoholic beers. Do you have anything I can drink?" And so Dad went through all of the beers that he had that he did not like and proceeded to throw those my way. So I had a beer called the beer, which tastes like beer.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's all that's going on there. It was not great. I know we never talk down on beers here, but this one was truly like a, oh, maybe we need to try again later.
Was that 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Beer,
Or
beer.
oh,
It's the
beer.
beer. It's 5.
5.
Yes,
Okay.
it's 5.
Do we know
Yes.
what brewery this is? Because I don't want
Uh,
to. I'm not sure to start this.
I believe it's from a brew called Fulton Brewery, but again, I don't want to go
Okay.
specific on this one because I don't want to badmouth anyone's beers. Except that this one was truly not great, and so
they might have better. They might, that brewery might make better beers, but not that one.
yes, that one was less than ideal. I then also had a mango stout, which was also not working for me.
Holy
Um,
yikes.
yep,
No.
yep. And then one other, but by that time I was the third one in, and I had already had 2, and I was just like, I'm gonna pour this one for the camera, and then we're gonna set that to the side because.
Uh-huh.
So this was really my dad's just attempt to pawn off all of his bad beers on me. So thanks, Dad. However, we did actually have some decent beers together as well. We had a really lovely sour saison that was pretty nice, a number of very good hazy IPAs, a couple from Indiana, and then, as my fathers want to do, plenty of wine, which is that mysterious grape beer that I discovered when I was in California, if you remember, Captain.
Oh yes. I haven't had much of that lately. I've been sticking with the beer because it's almost embarrassing how often we plug our companies that aren't paying us to do it, but because Astoria Beer and Cheese, to be clear, Beer and Cheese Collective is the only one that is actually, well, except for that one time for the Pony Bar. Anyway,
Yes.
but we mention people. Most of the things we mentioned purely out of love, including the Beer and Cheese Collective, but they're giving us beer as well. But
Which helps.
The Bruvana, I decided partly because you said you had such a wonderful experience with yourself last year, Beer Wonder.
Yeah.
My dad and I were not in the same place, but I did order him and myself the 12 beers of Christmas.
Oh, lovely.
And so we've been doing that every night and taking out those beers. I will say I'm still keeping the element of surprise, but I'm just doing it with a 24-hour advance notice.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
The reason I'm doing it that way is because I can't fit the whole box in my refrigerator.
That's
So
true.
like the day before each one, I open up that slot, pull out what's there, put it in the refrigerator for the next night. So I have the delayed gratification, but it's just 24 hours ahead of everyone.
Well, you get 24 hours to look forward to the beer.
Exactly, I do.
See?
And yeah, in addition to it's cool because I don't know if they did this last year, but in addition to the beers they give us, they like one of them had candy canes in it, one had something called charcoal marshmallows, one had a Bruvana bottle opener. In fact,
a hat. There was a hat.
Oh, I haven't gotten that one yet, so maybe that'll happen again this year.
Yep.
As well. Dunkel Dame, the one I liked best, I think, was probably because of you, because with your travels, some of those breweries got included in it, and I would say the very best one I've had out of 5 so far was from Birmingham. It was the Trim Tab. It was a imperial Berliner Weiss cranberry beer.
That one was so good. They sent me a box too, which was super fun, and that was a great one. Yeah, Trim Tab is a great brewery out of Birmingham, Alabama. A trim tab is like a thing on a boat, in case anyone's
Oh.
wondering where that word came from. It kind of helps the boat get on plane
Hmm.
quicker. I think they're also on airplanes as well. But yeah, that was a great brewery, and I loved that Berliner Weiss.
Yeah.
Really delicious. And yeah, it was imperial, and you typically don't see a big, robust Berliner. Normally they're low ABV, like between like 3 and 5%, you know? So it's kind of cool to see an imperial one with a little bit more alcohol in it. That was a really good beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what all else is in there.
Yeah.
To-
It is a fun little adventure. I was noting a lot of people, as we were doing the lead up to the holiday season, were talking about the beer advent calendars that seem to be out there, and it's just
Mhm.
nice to have something that is the post to get you into not so much dry January, if
Yeah,
that is how you are as a beer drinker. Something to kind of help take you through all of that.
absolutely.
and it's nice because it has some stuff that I like, but it also gets me a little out of my wheelhouse. Like the first one we
Yeah.
had was a Pilsner. There was a
Hmm.
Mexican lager. There was a this was I'd say my second best one was it was some kind of elf out of 5440 in Washington. The
Oh, yeah.
naughty elf. It was a Belgian saison, and that was
Oh,
just
Mhm.
nice.
really really great.
That one was really good. Yeah, I tasted that one too. Very kind of had some like banana clove going on.
Yeah,
All action. Yeah, really good. But you're right, Captain. It does help to expand your beer palette. These fun beer clubs, advent calendars, just these different beer drops that can be mailed to you when you don't really get to pick it.
yeah.
And maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but I always say learning what you don't like is just as important in learning what you do. And I'm so surprised that you loved a tart Berliner Weiss. You know, I mean, that is not really a typical Captain Porter Brown Stout beer. So that's
No,
very cool.
but I would say I have definitely I've had a lot of sours I've liked a lot, and so it
Mhm.
almost fits into that category. I
Me
think
too.
I almost like Gozes better.
Mhm.
I've
Hmm.
had some pretty great margarita Gozes here and there.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting. So
That
yeah,
I
a
really
little
like. Yeah,
lime in there, I guess. Yeah, gozas are great. They're like a nice sort of gateway to sours. They're a little bit
Yes.
softer. They have that salinity. They're brewed with a little salt and typically coriander, and that salinity on the finish just kind of rounds it out and makes it a little bit of a softer sour.
Hmm.
true,
They're
true.
so good.
All right, well, we know exactly what Dunkeldame's doing going forward to the new year. What do you have to look forward to that you are what in the short term, and at the very least, because we don't know with a 500,000 cases a day, we don't know what we're looking forward to. But what do you think you're looking forward to, Beer Wonder?
Oh, in the new year, survival. No, I'm kidding. Well, again, if things are looking like they're going to get a little bit crazy, and that seems to be where it is. I think beer vengers are always safe, but we don't let that get in the way of our beer enjoyment. Which means that I'm going to want to stay probably a little closer to home. So I think our friends over at Randolph and Evil Twin NYC here in Dumbo may have a little bit more of my attention, simply because I'll want to make sure that we're staying a little bit closer and keeping those guys going. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to, for those of us who work in this space that has to do with events, December is usually a brutal month, whether you are doing beer events or other things. So I'm looking forward to a little bit of a glide into January, something that will be hopefully a little bit more chill in terms of time. But one thing I am actually looking forward to is an annual Beer Vengers event that may be coming up very soon, Captain. I don't know if,
Yes.
if I've teased that appropriately for you.
Well, I don't know if I'd necessarily call it annual because I think there was one year when we managed it twice in a year. But
Oh, that's true. Yes.
it's funny because I've
Frequent.
had some well, I guess you would call them captain style beers. I would call them
Hmm.
stouts, porters, browns, other things along that line. Where I just had I don't require it to be exclusively tasting those beers. People are welcome to bring other beers to taste, but most of what I have available are like over the course of a period of time, I will collect things. And we haven't been able to have one of those get togethers for more than a year.
That's true.
Um, and so I'm looking forward to having a few of you over so we can try some of those.
Yeah.
I wish I
You
was
know,
there.
Dunkle Dame, last week on your show, we were talking about aging and beers being expired, and I put forth my notion that that imperial stouts never expire; they just mellow, they
Yeah.
just age.
And, it's kind of up for debate, but I always do a beer break in the Brews Less
I
Traveled podcast.
listened to it, yeah.
That was what I talked about because, it's like everything does kind of expire, but
Mhm.
stouts are going to definitely last longer. Typically things, aged in a barrel will last longer. But yeah, most beers you usually want to drink them within a few months.
Yeah, now I do have one in there that is a oak aged uh,
Ooh.
creek is what it's called, and I'll be curious to
Right.
see what that one tastes like because
I
I've
bet
had
it'll be good.
that's been in there for over a year, but since it's oak aged, I hopefully that will help to preserve it
It
properly.
will. Yeah, it actually will. Like bigger beers, higher alcohol barley wines, because alcohol acts as a natural preservative. And some wild fermentation
Mm.
sours will age really, really well. Sometimes the bacteria will kind of change a little bit, so the
Right.
flavors will change, but that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, so as
Oh, yeah.
much as you hear from your breweries and your beer drinking friends who say it's important to open these things fresh, including this 14 percenter I have, it says it right there on the can. It says drink fresh, and that's always good advice. But I have a feeling this one would still be good in 6 months because
Yeah.
14%, of course it would. Um, but but yeah, and speaking of aging, a few months back when we had Dave Lopez from Gun Hill, he was talking
Yeah.
about their upcoming events, and we're almost there. Mid-January, in the
Woohoo.
Ides of January, he is going to be having his barrel aged festival on a Saturday afternoon, and
Very exciting.
I
That's
have a
awesome.
feeling I'll be buying a ticket to that.
Yes.
It definitely
Must.
sounds like a captain event.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be available that Saturday, Beer Wonder?
We'll see. I have in my Clark Kent job, I may be required elsewhere on a Saturday, but we shall see.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like I feel that as much as we always, that's why I was so impressed with you, Dunkle Dame, the way you're able to just like, okay, you don't necessarily burn bridges, but you're like, okay, I'm going to go do this other thing, and maybe I'll come back to this other thing, maybe I won't. And I think Beer Wonder keeps all his as many irons in the fire as possible all the time.
It's
Yes,
smart. Love it.
diversification is the way I go. So, but
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like it's
yeah,
amazing we have time to record this thing because any specific time, Beer Wonder has like 7 different jobs.
Yes.
it's good to keep busy.
It is. It is. All right. Well, unless we have any other things about the upcoming things or our weekend beer, is that the end of the show this week?
I think so. I think we
Yeah.
touched on everything. This was so much fun. Thank
Oh, of
you
course, dear.
both for having me. It's always a pleasure to drop in and venge with you two.
Well,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you.
And if something happens with your travel plans and you want to come up the weekend we're having our Beer Avenger get together, I do have a spare room.
Hell yeah. I would love
So,
that.
all
That'd be
right.
so fun.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. And you know who just showed up?
Oh, who just it was? Is it a wandering huck in the
It
distance?
is a wandering huck. He's here. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you so much, Hazy Lady, Dunkle Dame, whatever bastardization of your name we come up with. Always wonderful to have you here, and
Absolutely.
see everyone again soon.
Bye.
With the beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers.
We're the Beer Avengers.